Welcome back to IEM Shanghai. And we are having a great tournament so far. Some surprise results starting to roll in all over the place. Unfortunately, Artosis had to disappear and have an old man bathroom break. So I've had to step in for him right now and take over as the desk host. How are you boys doing?
I'm doing good, man, and already I'm feeling a lot more positive energy and just like a more professionalism from you already, just immediately off the bat. So
there's a more positive vibe, right?
Yeah, there is more positivity, definitely.
I know that Maynard, you can see that Maynard has the passion because he just casted, and Maynard gets so into it that after a cast, he's done and he's sweating. He's like, whoop! We left it all. Like some people leave it all in the gym or leave it all in the pool, whatever they do. Maynard, he leaves it all at the casting desk, goes all out. So I got taken over, right? Because I was sitting backstage and the boys were still doing the thing. They sent me to the desk and they say like, hey, keep a close eye on Iasonu vs Gumio 2-0 game 2, because Iasonu is up 1-0. And I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and let's jump into my laptop if we can. So if they were lying to me, then obviously the score wasn't 1-0, but we're just going to assume it was 1-0. And I got the final moments of game 2. So if somebody, I don't know why Todd and Kalaris are just dying. I guess because they just realized Pick is hosting.
Yeah.
Would be awesome if we can jump to my laptop real quick. Can we do this? Do we have time for this? Production, yes, no, maybe.
I think we'll be able to hop in there in just a moment. And we are finding out right now if we can do that. Of course, we've also had a few surprising results come in throughout this tournament so far. And it has been a great event. Just waiting for production to give some word there. And then we are going to be hopping into game.
All right, so the score was 1-0 in favor of our Chinese Zerg, which is obviously very surprising. Game 2 is being played on the Ascension to Iron. I'm going to fast forward it a little bit because this is going to take a little while. Look at the timing on the third CC. It's like 98%. Nathanius would say just had the wrapping paper on it. Well, it wasn't done. And then Iasonu just went for it. And Maynard and I were watching and we're like, I think he's doing it. And then we looked at each other and said, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, it was pretty close, especially when he got pulled into the natural here. As you see, the fight starts to heat up. The SCVs and Cyclones doing a really good job. But Iasonu just keeps this pressure on the wall. Obviously, he starts to get taken out by these biles. And then all of a sudden, he starts to pull Gumiho all the way back, forces his lift. And look at the SCV count start to dwindle here as Iasonu presses the issue.
Yep, and that's when he went all in, got a couple of really good balls in the middle of that SCV pack. And that is going to be it. A very big surprise here on the Ascension. And once again, unless I was misinformed, because I couldn't watch that game, this was game 2. Iasonu was up 1-0, so Iasonu knocked out Gumio.
He's knocked out the reigning GSL champion. And of course, guys, the stage is now ready, so we're going to be heading over there to hear from them.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise!
And here we go. The hype is coming as we have, of course, Kalaris there on the stage, getting excited, keeping things going. And that was such a huge upset, and the Chinese fans are very, very excited right now. IEA taking out Gumio, the GSL champion, 2-0. was a very big surprise for everyone involved.
Yeah, and that wasn't even on stage or anything, so it's not like he had the crowd behind him, or it was played off in the players' area, in the backstage area.
Yeah.
But Iasonu just coming in charged, man. Like his series looked really good. He was very close to, doing well on stage as well. It's just, he's a new man, he's a new boy. It's good to see.
Bringing it out there, of course, and this is such a rare thing to see the home ground guy. We always bring in that excitement, that hype, and I don't know, Rotterdam, how are you feeling? Did you expect this at all going on?
No, I absolutely did not expect this. I'm incredibly surprised by the showing. Even against Stats, man, I felt like he had a really good chance against Stats in both Game 2 and Game 3. Game 2, I was like, all right, he didn't overdrone. In the end, took a little too much damage, but he didn't die. At least not immediately, a little bit later he did. And Game 3, I was like, come on with the link flood, If you make that many links and 2 drop alerts, don't think about the late game, just go for it. But yeah, he's been having a great run. That's awesome. Been loving the deciders match of Group A as well, where Maynard was just casting it, TY Dark. So I'm having a really good time for a day 1 so far at the Intel Extreme Masters.
Well, when you have this stacked of a bracket, you really can't have any bad matches. Like everything's on the line. And like Artosis mentioned at the beginning of the tournament, there are 10 plus players that could potentially be a champion here. Yeah. So many people are so closely matched. This is, GSL Code S level round of 16 that we're looking at here. And as we see Stats and Rogue about to face off on stage.
Yeah, these guys, of course, both fantastic players, and both have shown some fantastic games so far today as things are coming to a head. And of course, the audio just having a little bit of issues there. Hopefully that isn't coming through to the stream as well.
I don't think so. I didn't hear anything. So
I definitely look forward to this match pick. I think this is going to be a great one. Kind of jealous of Kolares and Todd, who are currently casting this match, or will soon be casting this match. I just saw them sit down. Looks awesome. Looks like a fantastic game. I would kind of lean towards Stats, but I ran into him before this game started, and he looked at me and he's like, Zerg Imba, Zerg Imba. Now, they always do this, so I don't necessarily think it means that much, but it could be true that he is generally a little bit worried about Rogue here.
Maybe a little bit tilted by how close Ayasonu had to make him fight for that win on stage. Like he maybe was a little bit overconfident in a couple of his games and thought that he wouldn't have as rough time as he did, or maybe just Ayasonu outplayed him in a couple of those games. But,
I mean, there's a lot of hype here building around Rogue now as he is having this kind of slow build-up this year. He's really starting to excel and show his skill up there. And I mean, Stats is known as Mr. Consistency. He's known as the guy who steadily transferred a lot of top 4 performances into winning these championships. He did win Season 1 of GSL this year as well. Do you think there is a fan favorite or a technical favorite here, Rotterdam?
I mean, normally experience-wise, you give it to Stats, right? Because Rogue is really good. He did make it to the global playoffs 2 years ago. He's one of those guys where if you see him at the quarterfinals of a GSL or an SSL or any foreign tournament, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But he's not the guy you expect to take out somebody like Stats. Now, of course, there is a deciders match after this, so it wouldn't be the end for either of these who would lose. But since Ayasonu seems to be kind of on fire and has the home crowd with him as well, I don't think you want to play for your tournament live against, you know, a hometown favorite. So it's tricky. I mean, Ayasonu has confirmed to me, by the way, that he did win 2-0.
It was 2-0,
yeah. That's crazy,
that's
man.
Insane.
What, 2-0 against the GSL champ? Like, can we just focus on how big of a surprise that is? Because that is amazing. For a Chinese player, everybody, you know, I love leading a forums as well, and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be awesome for the Chinese players. They'll go home after 2 best of 3s. Ayasonu said, no, not me. And let this be a warning to any GSL champion that you can't come into my house and beat me. No, great performance by him.
And speaking of GSL and homegrown players, we have Time coming up later who had a really good performance in GSL. It'll be pretty cool to see him in the groups later on tomorrow as well.
Yeah, some beastly matches, of course, coming up. As you can see there, Rogue's first appearance, you know, here today since 2014. It's been a long time since we've seen him making it out to an IEM event. He's been a player who's been in Pro League, he's been in GSL, he's playing a lot in Korea, but we haven't had a chance to see him outside yet. Do you think that makes a difference, maybe not being as used to travel as the other players?
Yes and no. You can always say no because he might be incredibly refreshed. On the other hand, China's not that far either. But of course, that's having some extra experience on the wrist belt could be nice. But you know, when I see Rogue, I always think that Rogue is like the hipster pick for the diehard Zergs out there, you know, the Zergs that don't want to be a fan of like Dark or Su or maybe Solar. They're like, no, Rogue's the guy. And definitely from time to time, Rogue has been the guy, but it is about time that he translated into like a big run at one of these international events.
And if I was a betting man, which I am, I would say that Rogue's actually going to be very, very, very well in this tournament. I feel like Rogue actually, I favor him in this series, not only because of, you know, the last map pool being not too bad overall for Zerg, but also the fact that he's just been in such a commanding performance lately. Like his group performance in GSL was incredible. Like I'm expecting big things here, and I actually expect him to beat Stats if I could take a bet.
Of course, we've been having a lot of fun with Stats there on the ticker down at the bottom of the screen, and they are in favor of Stats quite a lot. He's got the lead, but Rogue, we've talked about how his form sometimes is a bit up and down. Stats is always consistent here and strong. But when you look at Rogue's recent Zerg vs Protoss statistics, they're very, very powerful, and he really is looking very scary. He's also a player who's played very creatively, different styles in the past. We've seen things like Swarm Host come out of him. Are you expecting anything crazy?
I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I'm expecting this to be maybe a little similar to how we saw Eleza play at Home Surrey Cup. Obviously, Hydra Bane is something that's known for quite some time. But I think it's going to be Hydra Bane with non-stop either run-bys or Bane link drops. Because I think that is the optimal way to play Hydra Bane. If you play Hydra Bane and you rely on 2 pushes, well, the first one better do devastating amount of damage. Because we all know what happens if it's 6, 7 Archons, 8 Storms, and a couple of Immortals. You just won't cut it anymore unless you can like reduce that army size and the probe count over and over and over again. That is kind of what I'm expecting from Rogue. I'd be shocked if we suddenly see like weird stuff like we saw come out of Ayasonu against Stats. But who knows, you know, like...
Two-base Swarm Host worked out before, you know, these sort of builds. We saw it kind of got under Stats' skin, and that final game, the base trade was quite close as well, right?
And imagine if he would do that from a better scenario, you know. Imagine if they start base trading a little bit earlier. it's going to be a fun series, and I really think this is a big series as well. Some people may think like, well, you know, the loser of this match is going to beat Iasono anyway. I honestly don't think that's a given. Iasono really seems to be pumped up to be here, and he wants to make all these people here proud. I wouldn't want to play against an Iasono in this shape, and I think that goes for both of them as well.
I have to agree with you, Roddy. I mean, it's going to be up to Stats here to try and get to that comfortable point in every game where he wants to be on the forward next side with all his splash damage and all of his late game Archons and Storms and that sort of thing. But will Rogue let him get there is the big question mark I've got in my head as we get into this series. Stats is maybe just shifty-eyed here, no smiles at this stage, taking this series very seriously.
After that first series, it has been a little bit of a harsh awakening, almost dropping it to Iasono, and you know, he has got to tighten things up a little bit. He's got to make sure he doesn't let anything slip away, because this is a very important match. And of course, these aren't best of 5 sets. These are best of 3. They're very brutal. You let one slip away and then suddenly it's all down. And at this point, there's a lot on the line. The players, of course, preparing their matches and everything for the next stage. What are you expecting in terms of the maps? Are you expecting anything peculiar, or do you think we're just going to see kind of Abyssal, Ascension, Odyssey, this sort of thing?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think that's going to be it. It seems like both of them are okay with that as well. I honestly don't think we're going to see too many of the other maps being played in the earlier stages of the tournament, unless you're truly looking at it like, all right, my opponent is way better, so I'm going to play on a map that I maybe don't even like that much, but I know that he plays it a lot less than he would do, for instance, one of these other maps. But Rogue against Stats, I almost feel like it's a matter of pride, you know, like you don't want to be the guy that sends it to one of the odd maps out there. You're like, no, let's settle it on like the big boy maps, you know, where we both have insane amount of practice on. I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward series, and it comes down to execution. Like, I think it's one of those games we can talk and speculate about for years, but at the end of the day, you know, it comes down to who reacts faster and who's more on point.
It's a fast-paced game, and there's so much chance for different maneuvers. Once the heat starts, how players are going to react to each other, how they're handling their condition out there in the booth as well.
Once the heat starts, eh?
Oh, yes. Once the heat starts.
And when does it start, Pick? Like, I'm kind of waiting, you know? I'm pretty cool over here.
As the sweat drips down our brow here.
Every now and
the
then,
nice,
like,
beautiful studio lights, you know.
If I press my shirt down, it has a different color. So when does the heat start, Pick?
Well, that's why you got to wear black.
Yeah, I guess. Like, lesson learned. I'm still a fish. I'm a little new to this, you know?
Yeah. Oh, what are you on? 90 events now?
Not yet, mate.
Yeah, by the 100th you'll learn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a slow learner. I've always
You're getting there little bit by little bit.
Every game as well I play, I'm never good in the beginning.
And I've just got word from production. We are just waiting. The players just having a quick bathroom break right before the match starts.
Maybe they went together with Artosis.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I wonder where Dan is, you know. I feel like he should be up here on this desk, but unfortunately, you know, he just went a little bit AWOL there.
It is nice, though, that besides Kalaris and Apollo, we have now another host in town, and his name is Big.
Wow.
Well, you know, the passion starts to fade. You stop playing as many games, so you just kind of ask other people questions on the desk about the games instead, right?
Actually, I want you to predict this series to see if you've truly become the new Artosis.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, predict this one for us.
I'm not going to overthink it and mind game myself with kind of opposite world.
That's the key.
I think we're going to see Rogue actually take it out. He's just looking hot right now. I think he's going to take it out 2-1. Yeah.
I also would like to know another thing. Like, how did you feel about your caster tournament performance?
I think
that's last series.
Yeah, you know, I feel like sometimes you reach a point in life where you've had so much success that you need to just give to people who are more in need. And you need to, you know, just hand out to the masses.
And how do you feel about that, Rotterdam?
I appreciate it, man. Like, I poured my heart and soul into it. And if I would have lost against a hangover Pick who was still drunk from the wedding he went the day before, it would have hurt my feelings. And after game 1, I was like, all right, this could be it. I was looking for the uninstall button, but then Pick, being the great friend, you know, he decided to play some wonky builds. And
let you get away with some carriers, you know. Like
I like that. But that's why we're a team over here. That's why we're standing here united on a desk.
There's definitely no salt about those carriers, mate. Definitely. Definitely.
And we don't talk about my series at all. That's the way I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Wardy's been generally pretty friendly about that so far.
Yeah, he's been a pretty cool guy about it. You know, he didn't let me take it lying down, that's for sure. It was a good time. Really enjoyed that guy. I look forward to the next one. I'm sure Todd's starting to work it out. And
the next one is going to be big, guys. We're going to do it offline, you know, with like 84 people. We're going to get tests from
everyone's going to stop streaming. We're going to go into our little practice hyperbolic time chambers for 3 months.
It's like, all right, Snoot, you casted a game 1, right? You're a caster now. Like, the Muslim is a caster. Everybody who once upon a time casted a game is officially a caster. It's going to be great, but not as great, no matter how hard we practice, guys, as good as Stats versus Rogue, because it's going to be awesome.
All right, the game is ready. Let's head over to our casters. It is Kalaris and Todd.
Time to get into our next series here. The winner advances on, as we're going to have Rogue going up against Stats. And we will jump into Ascension to Aya to start things off. Down to the bottom right-hand corner in the red, it is Stats representing Splice. Looking good this tournament so far.
Looked a little bit mortal earlier against Ayasunu.
True. Ayasunu, though, in general, has played well this tournament.
And he had the crowd on his side, making noise for him.
A lot of noise, especially when he was going up against Gumiho, looking good. And then up to the top left, another player that's looked very nice in this tournament so far. It is Rogue in the blue.
Yeah, and Rogue, you know, Artosis mentioned this. I can't emphasize how important it is. He's rank 1 on the ladder, and he's been for quite some time. So he's been putting in the work. And the results have shown, but not where it mattered the most, just on the ladder so far.
Yeah.
I did talk about how if you're getting results on ladder, you're meant to get those results in tournaments eventually. Rogue beat Gumiho earlier. He beat the GSL winner here in this tournament already. The GSL winner that is out here already of this Intel Extreme Masters in the round of 16. So Rogue, I feel like he very well could be the Cinderella story of this year in terms of the WCS rankings. Currently, it's not looking that good. He's only in 16th place, but he just advanced to the round of 16 in the GSL. The groups will be drawn later, and he had a pretty interesting run as well in the round of 32, very impressive. Here, he's one match or two away from advancing on to the next round. That could be a lot of the WCS points up for grab that he could scoop up and maybe make it to the global finals. And then if he peaked at the right time, which is right now, made it to the global finals, he would be one of the favorites to do really well here. So like I said, it could be the Cinderella story, or it could all come crashing down and he could go out of the tournament there and his dreams.
Could be. And on the opposite side of this battlefield here is the #1 rank in WCS Korea with about 9,000 or so points. And the funny thing is that Stats...
Almost 10,000.
Almost 10,000. 2 Intel Extreme Masters in a row has got 2nd place. So here, surely he is destined to go far and then get 2nd place again. Or get himself first.
Unless he wants, if he goes full Sue here, it's going to be really sad. Nobody wants to be that guy.
No.
But yeah, Stats is just so impressive in general. But like I said, I was a little bit surprised about his series against Ayasunu. Like he definitely looked more mortal than usual, you know, that game 1. I don't know, I was just a little bit surprised with the way it all went down. And even in game 2 and 3, there were moments where I was like a little bit worried. So we'll see if it was just like one faux pas, like, you know, the first series, a little bit of warm-up of the day. Now that he's stolen some of our pepperoni pizza from the green room, maybe he's feeling a whole lot better and he's going to put a beating on Rogue.
I think they were invited by Maynard, actually, I'll have you know.
I mean, come on, the Australian, of course, they would offer some of the food.
You want some of our pizza, mate?
Cheers. Cheers, he says, as they take some of it.
All right, well, let's see what's going to happen here. As the Pneumatized Carapace is on the way for Rogue, so he'll be able to get in there and have a look around. And he'll see a Robo facility later on down the line with that Overlord now on the way. But the Twilight Council's already finished, right? So just going for the usual Dark Templar play, getting those Dark Templar harassments into the Archons, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we only see 2 gateways. Okay, no. Yeah, that one probe. I was wondering if he was going to make 2 more. So it's going to be a 4 gateways opener with the Dark Shrine, which Rogue, thankfully, thanks to Pneumatized Carapace, is going to scout very easily. Start a lair immediately off the back of this. Dark Shrine is one of those buildings that, you know, is very strong if you can get to DTs, but it takes a very long time to complete. So we're starting the lair on this timing here. Rogue should have Overseers on time, that he might actually be able to skip Spores on maybe some of his bases, which would be a nice save. And then from there, you can go into having exactly enough units to defend. Interestingly, there is no Roach Warren yet. A lot of the time, players that see a Dark Shrine like this, they're going to go into Roaches because against either Dark Templars or Archons, Roaches are going to be great for the defense. But Rogue not choosing to do any of that so far. He's just droning up like a madman, might I say.
Yeah, he's choosing to add on a few more Queens. He's at 4 at the moment with a 5th on the way. So as long as those bases are connected with creep, the Queens should have a bit of power in the defense with some Lings to complement. Overseers morphing in as well.
Yeah, the Prism gets spotted in the middle of the map, and I think Hydra then is actually going to be on the way behind this. Rogue might just do some sort of huge counter attack with just pure Hydralisk there. Eventually, okay, an Evo starts behind this.
I mean, those Archons are morphing in, so that's power overwhelming, but the Hydralisks and Lings could be extremely overwhelming on the other side later on if he just goes with this.
Yeah, and Stats behind this. I've seen him do a 3 Immortal and Mass Charge Lot attack at times, but right now he's still making probes. Even though he starts the turn Nexus, it's not necessarily the biggest tail that he might want to macro. We'll see.
These two Archons are going to get a lot of damage done to these Lings, and not even really taking too much damage at all. First-person view of stats there as he tries to control that. Warping in some sentries as well back at home, getting himself that third base set up.
Yeah, he's still getting probes. So I do think he's going to want a macro.
Yeah.
He can still do an attack, because he warped in sentries and he's going for immortals, but I feel like Rogue is very well prepared for that. The fact that he's going for that many Hydralisks, I really hope the War Prism doesn't get caught here. Stats going to have to pull back on time.
That would be catastrophic. That would keep Rogue with the option of just going over the other side of the map. This is what's keeping him back at the moment. Just making sure he's going to have to defend all of those mineral lines. 5 more Hydras on the way. There's been no upgrade started, right, on the side of Rogue. There's been no evolution chambers or anything like that.
No, the Evo Chamber finished on the third base, but he hasn't made anything out of it. So I feel like Rogue might go for, I guess we could call it a True, where you get a lot. Remember when True played against Neeb and just made a ton of Hydralisks, only Hydralisks. He skips on Bailings entirely, and he just kept on attacking until he had the critical mass. Against which, if you go for Archons, you're not going to be in that good a shape. If you go for DTs, you're kind of forced to go into Archons to defend this kind of attack, so that could be great for him. But the fact that he starts +1 missile tells me that he might not want to attack as soon as I thought he would have. Muscular Augments, I guess he's a little bit late. He had started a lot of Hydralisks beforehand. Maybe Rogue was a little bit too worried about this. By the way, you know that True used that as well against T-Drogo in Valencia, and was also successful with that style. So it's also like, it's a thing that's out there where like you just keep on Bailings entirely.
Yeah.
But right now, Rogue, he's getting Spine Crawlers back at home. I think he's a little bit paranoid against an attack, which, I mean, there was a big move out here from Stats, and his army is quite scary.
It feels like all of the investments into that many units have really hurt his economy as this is about to hit.
Oh, the DTs in the natural.
Oh my god.
There is no Spore or no Overseer nearby. This is going to do a lot of damage, and Force Fields on the other side are going to do a lot as well.
Yeah, the Zealots actually catching some of the units against those Force Fields, but the Hydras will rip those apart. More Force Fields are going to go down, but there's not enough DPS with those sentries in tandem with it to actually bring down those Hydralisks. Now they've realized that they need to get on top of those Hydras, bring some of those down. 11 drones have gone down as well while all of that was going on, but there's a lot of Hydralisks still available.
Yeah, Rogue's trying to kite his way back. 20 drones have already died. He's going to move in there and try and get these Immortals. The War Prism a little bit far away. If he can pick up and escape with this.
Goes down. That's a big investment loss there for Stats. The DTs are still doing some work, but they should eventually get cleaned up before this hatchery falls.
He's going to split them. He's going to force Rogue to make a choice here on where to defend exactly. Lurker Den on the way. That's going to be the saving grace here potentially for Rogue. But I think only through some insane Lurker production and siege could he win that game. And behind this, we have Stats going to more Immortals. He's getting upgrades, and he's just going to replenish his army count here, really.
That's the huge problem for Rogue, right? As much as, yes, he shut down that army, his economy wasn't in an amazing spot before, and now it's really not, having to replenish more drones and get himself in a good position.
Yeah, Storm's going to start as well. I love that Stats makes a Prism, because he knows that Rogue's going to be attacking very soon, having a lot of armies. So one good thing you can do is have a Prism across the map and just flood in Zealots, really, to overwhelm the Zerg back at home, delay the big attack on your side of the map here as Stats, and then eventually take a good fight that will win you the game. And right now, look at the supply. Stats already ahead here in that, thanks to all the work he put in earlier. I mean, he kills so many drones, 24. That's like an infinity in this kind of game.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's going to have this Warp Prism spotted down towards the bottom thanks to those Overlord placements. And a few Changelings are going to march in and have a look around themselves as well, but not really get much done. So let's see how Stats wants to approach this, because right now his army's going to be swelling up tremendously. He's going to have that double ball production going, Storm as well, against only Hydra Lurker.
Well, only Hydra Lurker.
I mean, yeah,
it's kind of an army that can make magic happen at times, but the fact that Rogue is lagging behind his supply, the fact that he doesn't even have, Lurkers available yet, like he needs to morph a bunch right now. Rogue does have a lot of gas to work with, which is nice, but even when he finally reaches a good amount of Lurkers, there's still going to be so many Immortals and Storms that it's going to be super hard for him to make anything happen. I feel like he would take a huge mistake from Stats for Rogue to be successful in this game, and Stats doesn't make huge mistakes.
Yeah. Storm is the big kicker there, right? Because it will then push the Hydras back to a point where they're probably on top of Lurkers or around them. Then that will do extra splash damage on everything.
You can buy a lot of time, like cover your retreat with High Templars and Storms. Stargates is actually going to start here behind this. I think Stats realizes that an Oracle with Revelation will do a great deal. He saw the Lurker Den morphing earlier, so he knows that that's the main thing he needed to worry about. That's why he's currently focused on massing Immortals and just pure ground for now. But yeah, an Oracle So important there.
Yeah.
But even besides going, you know, for air or anything, Revelation is so much better than Observers. Observers, you know, they fly in, they die, gets overseer, they get targeted down. Revelation, once you're tagged, you're going to be tagged for a long time.
Difficult for these Lurkers to find themselves a good position, and they're going to move through the middle of the map here.
Yeah.
This one Zealot's going to fall. Army here at the moment for Stats just wants to buy a bit of time. Slow down the Lurkers from actually getting towards his base, while he amasses more Archons, more Immortals, and as he said, the Oracle's on the way, and an Observer, just for good measure.
And the Zealots are buying a lot of time here. They force Rogue's army to go back every single time. Like I said, Rogue, he would like to be the sieging player and not just in the middle. He'd like to be across the map right now, making something happen with those Lurkers, but he's kind of trapped on his side of the map because I think he's worried about counterattack from the Zealots. Oh my god, how many Lurkers is that?
That's a lot of Lurkers.
That's 16 Lurkers in total. Oof. That are about to enter the field. I feel like I like this a lot by Rogue. He needs something like this to win this game, just because he fell behind here on everything, on upgrades, in tech, compared to where he should be.
Stas is going to try and delay out the fight even more with the fact that he's got a fleet beacon on the way, and he's going to Warp Prism harass as well, but these Lurkers aren't going to have any of it. They're slowly moving into a position of danger here for Stats.
Rogue is going to siege everything up there. It's so hard to engage into this, but if Stats comes in from multiple sides, he might be able to be successful against this army, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, and the entire army for Rogue is not here, so this could be very easily dismantled, and yes, it will be. And there's 3 units.
There's going to be a huge drop in Stats main here in a second. He doesn't have many pylons in position. Remember that Dark Shrine that he made earlier, though? There is a couple overseers nearby, but Rogue needs to remember to bring one of them. Oh, he tags the Overlords!
Warping in some units as well in the main base. Stats is scrambling now, trying to get back to his main base, defend against these 8 or 10 Lurkers, while there's Hydralisks on the flank as well, to try and bust into this location. Even picking up some of the Hydras to get them in there. There is no detection in the main base right now, so the Zealots are having a really hard time of doing anything. He's dividing up units to get in there as quickly as possible.
But the Archons can't go in, that's the problem. They're going to block the other units as well, potentially. One more Lurker being burrowed elsewhere. Stats sees it immediately, but right now, if you look at his economy, he needs to spend that. He needs to somehow survive this attack, and massive storms are going to land.
Yeah, they're going to be able to clean up quite a bit of that as well, but it's going to be going blow for blow here. While Rogue did quite a bit of damage to the opponent's army, likewise, he suffered some as well. He was shutting down some of the mining at this 4th base. That Lurker gets shut down, but this is at least bought time for Stats to now get his fleet beacon with Tempest in production.
And Rogue is going to be stuck on low tech basically this entire game here. He's still on lair, just making Hydralisk and Lings right now. He gets a couple surrounds here on some of these Archons in the middle of the map, but Storms are going to start landing, actually most of it on the own Zealots here of Stats. Stats can just take his sweet time here if he wants to. He can just expand, max out, and be in a great position, but even his army right now is so much stronger than a Rogue's.
He lost his Templar archives, so he's having to replenish that and get those High Templars for the Archons in. Technically, he could warp in Dark Templars if he wanted to, but it's not as cost efficient for the ultimate combination that he wants.
I think it got scary for a minute, but now that Stats has defended this, I really feel like he shouldn't lose this game almost ever anymore. Like, Rogue is just in a lot of trouble, and in a desperate attempt to come back, he's going to go for a Baneling Nest, and I think try and surprise Stats with a ton of Banelings, but I don't even know if he's going to have time to get that. Great counter-attack here, actually. That one Pylon's going to die, and that's going to cancel the warping. He's just going to get his Nexus here.
The army's very far away. Not much that he can do about that. Dark Templars are doing some damage over towards this base as well, shutting down some of the economy, but this really shuts down economy as a Nexus falls there for Stats.
I was just telling Roddy earlier, like, you know, when you take Nexuses and stuff on your stream, I hate that you make 4 Pylons. I feel like it's a waste of minerals. He's like, yeah, but you know, if he has a lot of links, you never know. Yeah. And then this happens, and I'm like, hey! Maybe at least 1 or 2 more Pylon would have been nice to warp in some extra reinforcements and defend against these links. But I think usually like you'd leave at least 1 High Templars up against this, which will do the work, or maybe even have a couple more cannons, because that's definitely at the economy there. But in this case, I don't think it's the end of the world. Losing that 1 base, you know, he transferred to the new one that he had down there. Still going to be up to 5 bases here in a second. And against a Lair Zerg, if you can max out as Protoss, I really feel like you should never lose.
Yeah. And he's not only just maxing out, he's getting a mothership. He's getting more Tempest coming out here against...
the Overlords. He's trying to intercept at the bottom.
Can he get them?
Oh my god, Stats.
Archons, let's do it.
Oh, the Rogue saw it. Change course.
Yep. They have a little bit of range extra because they're flying, so that's fine. And, well, let's see, because if you look at the production tab, it's Links and Banelings in production against 3 Tempest at any time in production.
It's only Hydralisks in that drop.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's no Overseer.
Oh.
You see where I'm getting at?
Warp in 1 DT.
Or 5.
He can't see the buildings. I suppose you could target down the mothership.
Oh no!
Run away!
Overshot. Oh my god, that was
sad.
You could have walked 1 DT like you said, and that would have been better than this garbage fight.
Well, they're gonna die anyway.
What a waste of mothership. It's like, at the dinner last night, because it was a buffet, there was like a sign that said, like, please don't waste food and respect the environment.
Yeah.
There should have been a notice here for stats. Please don't waste your mothership and make all Protosses on the stream sad.
That one got pretty wasted. He was like, I know what I'll do, I'll cloak everything, and then he won't be able to kill anything. But unfortunately, mothership, doesn't work for you. All right, so plenty more on the way, even air weapons coming out now for these Tempests.
I love how he's getting Tempest. He's like, there could be Broodlords. No, actually, no, there couldn't.
No, your opponent's way too far behind for that.
Void Rays behind is on the way. They synergize really good with a big ground army of Chargelot's Archons, High Templars, and in this case even Immortals. And Rogue is just going for a ton of Banelings. I think he's just going to try to blow up as much as he can on the ground and then clean up the rest with the Hydralisk, which I feel like going for that many Tempests almost gives him a chance, but Stas is just so far ahead anyway that it should work.
Yeah, this is the slow dying breath of Rogue here. As I don't think he knows the full extent of his opponent's army, but he's probably got a pretty good idea as to what's about to hit him.
The latest GSL champ wasn't enough to stop Rogue and the current rank 1 on the ladder, but apparently the WCS World Rankings, or Korea Rankings, #1 stats, so far is looking pretty darn good here in that map #1.
No problem. As I said, second place twice in the Intel Extreme Masters in the last year's time span.
He lost to Innovation and
then TY in the final at Katowice, right?
Those Terrans in the finals, man, feels
Those
bad.
Terrans, yeah.
Who is it going to be this time? Maru, Bjorn?
Well, it's not going to be Gumiho, is it? Whoa!
Yeah. Oh, there's still plenty more where that came from. Innovation still in.
It's true.
I'm excited, actually. That group is just absolute insanity that we're going to have tomorrow with Innovation, Maru, and Bjorn.
The whole tournament's crazy. It feels like a while since I've got the opportunity to cover something like this. It's really good fun. A fan died. Why did the fan die? I'm not sure.
Couple lurkers here are going to find their way across the map, but I think Stats is almost about to put an end to this game. Unless those Banelings and Hydralisk can make magic happen. That's a lot of High Templars. That's 5 full energy High Templars, Skylights. Are you ready?
Oh yes, that storm's raining down there, trying. Oh my god! It's a meat grinder! And now everything just dies off so fast. The Hydras will kill some of the Void Rays in the end, but that was utter devastation for the Zerg.
I don't think I could have found better words, Skylar. It's like
thanks, man. That's why I'm here.
5 full energy High Templars don't joke around against this full glass cannon Zerg army of Ling, Banes, Hydralisks.
Yeah.
Stats is so comfy, look at him. He's staying across the map, he lost his entire ground pretty much. He's like, yeah, let me just kill as much as I can and recall if I get in trouble. He has an observer at the front.
Yep, easy peasy, bye-bye.
And behind this, he's well saturated on multiple bases. He's re-expanded again, he's got so many High Templars and this. I'm surprised that Rogue is still trying at this point. He must be getting a little bit discouraging. You know, he's been stuck on low tech the entire game.
Where there's a hope, there's a way, apparently, here for Rogue. And we've known for quite a while in this game, he has been vastly
Oh my god, Banelings got caught in the middle of the map. So many of them died doing nothing. He didn't even get an Archon.
Aww.
He didn't even tickle an Archon.
Well, yeah, you need a lot of them to kill one Archon at least. What is it, like 20-some, I think? I don't know. I can't remember the exact numbers, it was a long time ago. But anyway, this army is looking powerful, and Rogue staring down the barrel of a gun here.
Or laser, rather.
Staring down the barrel of many lasers.
And High Templar Storm.
And giant balls of energy from the Tempests. There's not much more than that.
Why don't you calm down, pig?
There hasn't been any roaches in this game, so I can't calm down.
Fence and Hydras do the job nowadays.
Yeah.
Look at Stats, how safe he's playing. He's mass cannoning every single base he's taking.
It's ridiculous. This army that Stats has could probably be 2 of the armies.
Yeah, or 3 even.
Yeah.
Just with the High Templars too. Especially if storms and everything dies.
Especially if he engages the last way he did. Everything just running into the storms.
I'm looking at both armies and I'm like, Rogue, bro. I want to put my hand on his shoulder and be like, mate, you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Just go next game.
Do you need to talk to his Rogue? Is it time?
Poor guy.
He's like, no, I've got this. I don't know about that. Banelings can't jump.
It's 5 item plus again with full energy again.
And it's 3 extra Stargates with Graviton Catapult coming out, so the carrier
down there?
transition
Oh,
can
recall.
hurt. Well, what? Where's he gone?
Because half the army was tagged and it went down there for Rogue. And again, some non-cost-effective trade. There we go. Rogue has had enough. GG gets called. And Stats with a very solid map #1 win here.
Yep. And not even really breaking too much of a sweat, especially in the later stages of that game. Stats knew the position he was in, whilst Rogue, a little bit concerning for him there at the beginning of all of this. Needs to buckle down.
This is the thing with Stats as well. Like, he makes Protoss look such like an incredible race, like it's unbeatable. You know, like the attack that he did, almost any other Protoss does it. He wouldn't work nearly as well, but I mean, the guy's the magician.
All right, we're going to go to a short break. When we're back, we return with game number 2 as Rogue goes up against Stats. Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai, as 16 of the very best players in the world clash head-to-head. Currently, we are in Rogue versus Stats, and Stats was able to dismantle Rogue there in game number 1, and we'll be going to Odyssey for game 2, Todd.
Yeah, I mean, after what we just saw, I'm pretty sure that for Stats is going to be the same thing. He's going to use one of his builds that he always does so well. It almost feels as if for Stats, it doesn't really matter what build he goes into. Like, he can do anything super well, whether it's a Dark Shrine opener or a Stargate. And in this case, like, he made the DT Rush look really good last game.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't do that much direct damage at once, he was later on the 2 DTs in a natural. And I think he did that so well because he fully realized that Rogue wanted to skip Spores. And I'm pretty sure they must have played on ladder recently and there was some metagame involved here in this. So he was like, oh yeah, you want to get Overseers? I'll do a follow-up attack with Charge before you'll be able to have enough Hydralisks for it to be bad.
Yeah.
At exactly the right amount of sentries. There was 3 sentries that they had warped in very early, so they had a lot of energy for both Guardian Shield and Force Fields. And then the DTs in the natural were really the quarterbacks, the ace in the hole. They killed a lot of drones. And from there, Stats was always going to be in a great position here in that game. He would have taken something really special for Rogue to come back from this.
Yeah, he was trying, but...
I like the attempt of Lurkers, even the drop and stuff. Like, everything was super smart, but I mean, Stats is just too little solid to die to this.
Especially if the drop, he fully knew that things like Archons, you know, would have had a hard time actually getting through that natural wall, because it is a pain in the butt when you're playing a Protoss and you can't actually get some of your army through there. And then they block them, and then you have to move them out of the way, then you have to get everything through. So very difficult indeed.
We saw it in first person as well. Like, the way his stat split was like super quick. He was very fast to think on his feet, and split exactly the right amount of units in the right place, and from there, like if you're able to defend that big drop and get rid of like the first waves of lurkers, usually you're completely out of the woods from there, you know?
Yeah. The thing is as well is that Stats, even just in this group stage alone, when he was going up against Ayasonu, he showed such diversity of builds, right? Every single game he was going into with a different build. We saw him go for that 8-gate chargelet style against Ayasonu again, which he could potentially bring out. It's Odyssey. He could quite easily make it work here.
Against Rogue, I don't really like it. Actually, to be fair, I feel like against most Zergs nowadays, like it shouldn't work. Somehow it does anyway, especially against Ayasonu, because even though Ayasonu is like really good and maybe underrated, I feel like by playing aggressive, you can enter his worlds. So like Stats, in my opinion, is much more solid overall. So even though the matchup kind of says that you should play aggressive, maybe Stats, like personally, I would think he's so much better than Ayasonu, like later on in the game, that he should just play like a longer game without committing to big aggressions. But his Stats style, he loves to throw in these builds, keep his opponents honest. And in that case, he did catch Ayasonu in game 2 and 3 and then won the series. But I did think that was a risky way to play it. Now against Rogue, might be okay to do this, but against #1 rank on the ladder, usually any big aggression you do like this, they should have, if there is anybody that could hold it with a lot of roaches and some good kiting, it's going to be him.
I mean, the facts of what we've seen today kind of back up what you're saying, right? Because Stats went up against Ayasonu, and in game number 3, you know, he crushed his mid-game attack of, you know, ground-based army, but then Mutalisk transition came in, it was a full-fledged base trade, but Stats was super strong in that situation and won out pretty well, so...
Nowadays, Mutas are not doing so well.
No.
They're not so hot anymore. Like, very rarely do you see it being pulled off, and usually that's when Zerg already kind of got ahead in a way, and then it almost doesn't matter what they went into. And Elaser was even saying at Home Story Cup, like, Muta is like one of the only few ways you can throw away a game nowadays.
All right, let's get into it. Game number 2 here as we go load into Odyssey, and up to the top left-hand corner, we will have our Blue Zerg looking to come back. It is Rogue or Jin Air Green Wings. One of my favorite jackets. I know you've seen me wear it many, many, many times. I love that
I'm not wearing it today, though.
No, because it's 7,000 degrees.
Yeah, but if you got passion and you love the team.
I suppose. And spawning out of the bottom right-hand corner, a team that I want the hoodie of because it looks nice, is Splice, and it is Stats. 1-0 up currently. Splice Gold.
Can you order a hoodie?
I think you can.
Do it.
But because I'm a scrounging esports caster, eventually, if I keep saying it, they'll give me one for free.
Pretty sure the managers are watching. Proxy Hatchery here from Rogue, getting really cheeky in game 2 after being down 1 game. And I think he's probably counting on Stats going for some kind of quick Nexus like he is now, a Gateway. And a lot of the time from there, you're going to see Spine Crawlers and then Spinlings trying to come in, but like there is no Extractor here just yet, so we'll see exactly what it is here from Rogue.
Oh, clicked over there.
Like no matter what, he's gonna get a Queen, start free spreading. That's why usually gaining Spine Crawlers with this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is, the Extractor here.
Yep.
You can, there is like some Road Ravager as well that you can do with this. I've seen a lot of Protoss defend this really well as of late when it's been done, and I feel like Stats is definitely high up in there and like the players that I will see defend this really well. But I mean, Rogue must be doing this for a reason. He must have some confidence. He must have found like something, a timing in there that works really well.
I mean, that
second gas.
Oh, that might be quite a bit of roaches then if he throws down the Roach Warren right after, and he will do.
Mass Ravagers, I think. Yeah, look at it.
Yeah.
Roach Warren with a second gas. Mass Ravagers, you can spam Bile. Even if there are pylons and overcharge, you can completely negate that by spamming Bile from afar, and then you keep edging forward. And the fact that Protoss went for a Nexus, it delays their tech so much that they couldn't have something like, you know, a quick Oracle or a quick Robo for Immortals to then defend against the Ravagers.
And that's the true kicker, right? Oftentimes, the first gateways are going to be in that front wall. And if you can get rid of those pylons with the Corrosive Bile, you're stifling the production as well. So those two links going to walk in, seize the extent on the wall.
Crazy thing is that Stats didn't scout at all, by the way.
Yeah,
Stats didn't scout at all, like I just realized. So he didn't see any lack of hatchery on the natural here from Rogue. So right now he has absolutely no idea. Getting his Stargates in his wall like this is a disaster. Like it should die before anything is out.
Yep.
And he's gonna work against him because he spent a lot of minerals and gas into this. And that tech is going to be lacking. Like if the Stargate was in the main, he might actually be able to get an Oracle.
He's just about to spot the creep going into his vision.
Surprise, surprise.
And
he hasn't seen it yet.
Sees it. No, there it is. All right, now it's going to be panic mode here. Stats has to formulate a plan. He already has he's going to be bringing some units, I think, probes down to this position.
Yeah. He's going to start a robo in his main here. He wants to get to Immortals. Might have to evacuate the natural, but there's already so many units there. And the gateway is going to be unpowered immediately.
Well, this isn't good. He's already trying to start some panic gateways. Yeah, this is bad. Very, very bad. These 3 Ravagers are having an absolute field day. This one Adept alone is going to have to try and do something about this. Dropping the Corrosive Vials, one on the Adept, a few on the probes there, on the ramp. But more units are going to reinforce this, and he's getting so many kills.
Oh, Overcharge is going to be available here. Stats trying to hold on. He's going to try a couple Ravagers. Actually, wow, that was not really supposed to happen.
No.
And because the Ravagers went up in the main, that was a big commitment here for Rogue. Losing those means he doesn't have them in the natural. They are doing damage anymore.
This Ravager being an absolute hero. Killing off a few more probes wherever it can. And Mothership Core takes a while to actually kill that off. Creep going to be spread through onto this base as well now. How many workers? 20 go down. But there's not a huge follow-up behind this, so he just needs to fully kill him. And he's already getting a lot more of this wall.
And more Ravagers are going to enter the field there. First Immortal about to come out. Stats starts a sentry. He needs to remake Cybercore, actually. He's going to need Warp Gate eventually, but I think right now he's focused on trying to hold on against this. There is no overcharge. 44 energy right now.
Walks up the ramp, and those Queens are on top of that Mothership Core as well, pushing it back. One Immortal down, but that doesn't want to go anywhere near the Lings.
That is a brave Immortal. He's going to save... Oh, I love that. He's saving the overcharge. Can't lose that one Mothership Core, though.
What can you focus fire with this Immortal? Don't want to be shooting Lings, want to be shooting Queens as well as Ravagers. The Roaches would be nice too.
It's doing almost nothing to Queens. Overcharge time. Feels bad. Remake it.
Yeah. Get it going, get it going. Needs the minerals to come in.
That one Immortal, man, he's like, I can't do everything myself.
No. He's going to be going down the ship in a second if he's not careful. He's dead.
Yeah, I think this is it.
Yeah.
Rogue did his research and he knew that Stats wasn't going to scout.
GG, good game there from Rogue. Tying things up, 1-1.
If your Protoss doesn't scout and you know he's not going to scout, do this build and collect your win and make him scout in the next game. That's how it goes, Skylaris.
Collect your win, collect your check potentially if he advances on from that kind of result. Just needs one more game in the bag. He'll be going on into the round of 8. As now, Stats there. A little bit flustered, maybe, but not too much. Realizes, okay, I didn't scout, that's why I lost.
Does he scout next game, though? there is this mind game.
Yeah.
There's this mind game of he's never going to do this again. He wouldn't dare. He wouldn't have the guts.
Yeah, it's true.
But then again, from a guy who's a self-proclaimed sexy boy, can you really expect him
He'll do anything.
not to have the guts to do something like that again?
The bravado, the poise of the sexy boy Rogue. Yeah, I've not a clue what he's going to do. Abyssal Reef's going to be our next map here.
He's going to think very highly of himself regardless.
Absolutely.
I love the ticker. Rogue forces game 3 with proxy hatchery rush!
Exclamation
mark!
I mean,
like
yeah.
somebody just tuned in, he's like, yeah!
It was pretty exciting, not going to lie. To say the least.
Wait, they have Intel Umbras?
Intel, do they? Where are those?
Yeah, this one guy here. Right there, did you see?
I didn't see it.
I need one of those.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd. There you go.
I love that ticker, man.
The ticker never lies.
As does the soup.
There you go. All right, let's get into game number 3. Spawning up to the top left-hand corner, tying up the series 1-1. It is Rogue from Jinne Green Wings.
I didn't know you could have rolled R's.
Perfectly. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Protoss Splice Stats.
Not looking one bit impressed
No.
with that last proxy. Hasn't scouted yet, but now is the time if you wanted to. Even though, like, in general, like, your builds are meant to be safe against pretty much everything. Nope, not gonna scout. not a guy to care that much.
I mean, there's a probe
Oh
already
no,
on
never
the
mind.
map.
Yeah, it's
it's
there.
all right.
I was like, yeah, that would be weird.
This
All
one
right.
went out pretty early
Yeah.
to spot
So this
things.
time he's actually gonna check.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to see. Like obviously it's not a crazy rush or anything, but Rogue already went pull, then gas, and then he's gonna go hatchery later on.
Blocking the hatch for a little bit here with the probe. Not too bad.
You'll never do this ever again against me, Rogue.
How dare you besmirch my integrity? Probably didn't say that.
I love it when maybe in Korean. I love it when players do their research and they do something like this, even though it gave us like a fairly one-sided game. It really goes to show how important preparation is.
Yeah.
And nobody should ever think they're untouchable and do like one build or skip on scouting completely. Even though like I feel like mixing in a scout sometimes and sometimes not might be smart, because then you're kind of, you know, like rolling the dice a little bit, trying to get away with an advantage, which can backfire sometimes. Like not scouting almost all the time, definitely one of those things I wouldn't recommend.
This probe's seen basically everything that's going on. Will be greeted by 4 Zerglings and then eventually run away. While Stats, what are you going to pull out of the book? Could quite easily go for his Stargate, could quite easily go for the Robo into Twilight.
Yeah, I think the DT opener here is really nice in this position, but even going Stargate would be all right.
A pylon in the main base might be something that he utilizes.
And the Roach Horn starts now for Rogue.
Ooh.
Maybe another attacker in the books.
Yeah.
He's getting speed already, so if he gets like a couple Roach Ravager and then floods in with Lynx, thinking it's going to be like either a Dark Shrine or a Stargate, which are the two likely builds, he can maybe overwhelm that position, because a lot of Protoss keep on the Mothership Core early on. And even those Lynx, you know, they're going to keep Stats busy a little bit here. This is really bad because he's losing mining time.
And I think they spotted the Stargate as well, right? So that's not too bad of a pickup there for Rogue.
Oh, that one probe on the natural across the map. Stats reacted late. If he had gotten in the main and then somehow saw the Roach run, that would have been so good for Stats. But now, he's going to get 0 info. 7 Roachers are on the way, Kylaris.
Oh my god. He's probably going to end up making Oracle and just sending it across the map. And that's not going to be the greatest thing to actually deal with those Roaches.
He needs to start a Mothership Core right now, but without any information, it's like, you don't want to start a Mothership Core now.
It's a Ling follow-up behind it as well. They're going to be across the map fast. What units is he going to have? He'll have like an Adept or 2?
He'll have nothing.
He'll have nothing. Oh yeah, probably. Maynard will be proud.
He has 1 Adept. That's nothing. No, he has 2 Adepts actually, but with a 3rd one on the way, but that's really not that much against the huge force that's going to hit him here for Stats in a second. Scouting with 1 single Ling. Rogue sees no Mothership Core. Even though there's going to be an Oracle here, still such a hard hold. I love that Rogue went around, by the way. He knew that there were maybe going to be units going through the middle of the map. In this case, it's an Oracle flying across right now.
Can Roche catch Stats off guard here, as the Oracle is going to be way over the other side of the map. And 7 Roaches about to knock on your door, along with Lings as well. The Oracle's coming back to actually return, do a little bit of defense here and there.
Oh
no, not again. Oh,
it was so close as well to finishing here. This is going to be a disaster for Stats. He can afford to lose a lot of probes, but I think he's going to lose way more than he can afford to lose there.
He's got just no units. These Oracles are having to work on Roaches, and they do not kill them fast. While all of these probes are dying off, 13 have already gone down. He needs to kill Mortis Rogue, but, I mean, look at how many units he has available here. Those corrosive files, if those probes didn't move, they would all die in an instant.
Yeah, nice dodge here, but I mean, already 19 probes to 17 drones.
Yeah.
And Rogue is going completely all in with this. If he could have repowered that Cyber Core even for just a second, he would have gotten Warp Gate here. The Stargate unit's not doing too bad right now, but there's no more overcharge and more drones are going to fall here in a second.
A Void Ray being produced, but it's not going to be out in time here as more probes are going down. 22 have already fallen. The remaining numbers are going to get thinned, and that is Rogue advancing on to the round of 8. Very impressive stuff there for him as he catches Stats unaware 2 games in a row.
Hey, it was ugly, but he gets the job done here with some good aggression. Stats not scouting enough, not on top of just checking what the opponent's opening with. And he's going to pay the high price for this and fall down to the decider match here. Yes. You're going to have to be more careful against that sexy boy Rogue, as he's self-proclaimed himself as that.
Yeah. Stats can't be too happy with that, considering as he stretches, and he feels he's probably advancing from the group anyway, but his next opponent isn't any easy task, considering what we've seen so far this tournament.
He lost the map earlier against ISNU, and who has the crowd behind him, so you need to be careful, especially like it's a lot of games that he's already been playing against Zerg. We'll see if he scouts, though.
Indeed we will. All right, thank you very much as we now head to a break. When we're back, more here from the Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai.
Standing right next to me is a second advancer to round of 8. It is Rogue. 이병우 선수 일단 8강 진출하신 거 축하하고요. 일단 한번 우리 진에어 슬로건 한번 외쳐가죠. 자, 한번 갑시다.
진에어 화이팅!
아, 그거 아니잖아요. We're actually gonna go for the 진에어 slogan. 자, fly better fly, 진에어.
아, 못하겠어요. 못하겠어요.
Alright, sexy boy. 어제 김대엽 선수가 이제 제방에 올라와서 저랑 사전 인터뷰를 했거든요. 저그전 못 이기겠다고, 너무 어렵다고, 장기전을 무조건 가야 되겠다. 그래서 첫 번째 게임 패하셨었는데 Stats actually came up to my room yesterday and he said there's absolutely no way Protoss can beat Zerg at the moment. He was pissed drunk and he was whining non-stop for a couple hours, telling me the only way Protoss can beat Zerg is to go in the long game, and that's exactly what happened in game 1. And you switch it up in game 2.
일단 첫 번째 판 할 때 제가 할만했는데 올인을 막고 할만했는데 제가 너무 여러 가지를 막 하려다 보니까 혼자 좀 꼬였던 것 같아요.
Even the first game, really, I thought I had it. So I was doing multiple different things, right? I was over defending and I was being progressive and everything, and I think I screwed myself over in the game 1 actually. 자, 게임 두 번째 게임에서는 전진의 처리, 세 번째 게임에서는 멸봉. On the second game, proxy hatchery, really? And the third game with your roachling all in? Sexy boy? Is that how you roll?
네. 두 번째 경기는 제가 거의 1승 빌드라고 생각했던 빌드고 3세트도 근데 웬만하면은 통할 거라고 생각하고 이제 토스전에 제가 IEM 토스전을 준비를 할 때 제가 그 두 개의 빌드를 제가 필승 빌드라고 생각했는데 두 개를 다 써버렸어요.
이제 어떻게 해요?
이제 모르겠습니다.
You know, the second game, the proxy hatchery was definitely a win strategy, and so was the third one. And coming here, I already used both, so I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do from moving on forward to round of 8. 자, 그럼 이제 8강 준비하셔야죠. 한번 화이팅으로 진행하면 슬로건 한번 갑시다.
네?
Alright, now moving on to the round of 8. Last time, one slogan for Jinner. Shout out for the team.
8강 상대가 누굴지 모르겠지만은 컨디션 관리를 오늘 컨디션이 너무 안 좋았어요. 잠도 못 자고 그래서 컨디션 관리를 좀 해서 오늘보다 좀 더 나은 경기를 보여드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
Today I didn't feel really great about today's matchup. I don't know who's gonna be for round of 8, but I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna rest tomorrow, and I will show you what I got moving on through round of 8 on Saturday. Thank you very much, 이병규 선수. Back to you, Artosis.
All right, thanks, Mal. Really kind of down and dirty series, huh?
Yeah, sexy boy. not just sexy Maynard.
He's a dirty boy as well. Those last two
Absolutely.
games, that Proxy Hatchery, those Roach Ravager busts. Artosis was saying, we're both commiserating for stats there, saying, it's a pretty good build.
Yeah.
Pretty good attack timing. It's a little bit tough to stop.
Yeah, he's really good at getting through that wall and bombing down the pylon, and then your buildings don't work.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
I mean, there's a lot of people who look like game 2, obviously you can say you should have scouted, right? Like you should scout the Proxy Hatchery, or at least if you go Nexus first. I mean, come on, stats. I love to go Nexus first too, but at least scout after maybe Pylon and latest at least after Nexus. He just didn't do it. And I don't think there's any chance at all that he defends on Odyssey. I must say he made it closer than I thought it ever should have been, but it was still not close enough. But I think on Abyssal, like normally facing that build while opening up with a Stargate, that's not that bad. Even opening up with the first Oracle is not that bad. But he took the awkward route via the south side, and then you don't see it until pretty much then knocking down your front door, basically. And that's just, I mean, they said it as well. If you don't power the cybernetics core anymore, you don't get Warp Gate. The second Oracle, maybe I would prefer to go for a Void Ray. And after that, you can always make one more Oracle, so you can have like Oracle, Void Ray, Oracle. But I think just relying on Oracles, these Zerg players like Rogue, they're obviously so good that the moment you activate Pulsar Beam, they're like, well, we'll just run, but we won't leave, but we will run. And then you're just kind of stuck. You're like, okay, my energy is draining. And you saw it. It looked very close worker-wise, and then the energy is gone, and then Stats knew it as well. He's like, I've got 24 workers, but I'm going to have one real quick. So.
Not too much to have done there. I mean, we've seen an increase actually on Abyssal in Korea with the Protosses walling that front ramp and just saying, screw it, we'll go macro route, come around if you want to attack me. But, getting up there, unpowering everything right away. I mean, good for Rogue here. He advances in first place, just like his ladder rank, just like how he's doing in GSL. This guy is killing it. He might win the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually is literally my pick to win the whole thing. I was saying to Wardy backstage that I feel like this tournament's going to be a Zerg victory. There was a bit of hype around Dark, maybe not so much anymore after we've seen series, but Rogue is still just. I mean, it's all the momentum's been going his way from GSL to Code S, and incredible showing here as well. It's no surprise at all for me. And I think he's going to win the whole thing.
All right. I mean, I don't think that is a bad call. He's got to win a tournament eventually. He's one of these guys. We've been talking about it. He's so highly ranked on the ladder. He's playing so well. He's going to have a tournament eventually. So maybe this is the one for him. But with him knocking down Stats, now we're going to have the rematch, Stats for Iasono. Not right now. It's the last match of the night. But what do you guys think about that one? Iasono almost took him out before.
Yep, I think that's going to be a very close series. I think if I was Stats right now, I'd be a tiny bit worried. Obviously, Iasono is loving life. He took down the GSL champ, Gumio 2-0. So I think that's going to be fun. Stats still the favorite, but obviously he's showing some weaknesses to especially cheesy play. Now, obviously, you scout more, I think, when Tournament Live is on the line. But I think it's hard to call. Dan, there's one thing that I do want to mention, though. Like, I feel like we've seen a couple of early GGs today. Or maybe not necessarily early. Like, if you want to go really, like, into the numbers, you could say, like, no, that game is over.
Like, if you were to look at the supply or something.
Yeah, no, but if you look at the supply, it's like, actually, there is a chance here.
He was like on 190 when he left.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, Stats had all the bases and all the maps, so a lot of Zergers will be like, no, it's totally over. But that's not really the point, right? Normally, you don't see people leave with like 185 supply, even if it's sort of the wrong units. And I even felt Dark against TY, like his GG timings were a little bit odd, like not necessarily too early, but either like he would try to fight and then give up, or he would just like give up before the fight because obviously he's Dark and he can see that he doesn't win. But
well, I mean, speaking of Dark, he is going up against Bunny next. Do you think maybe there's a mentality issue here and he has a chance of going down against Bunny?
I think that Dark is just like, I'm saving energy. He's like, I'll be back on Saturday. I still believe in Dark. I mean, he's believing in Rogue. I still believe in Dark. But Bunny, I think Bunny's got a pretty good shot, especially if Dark does another one of those weird Roach Ravager Link timings that, obviously don't work that well against the Banshee builds, whether you carry Queens or not. So I don't know, I'm maybe a tiny bit worried, but just like Dark, I will not show it.
I would have said that Dark beating Bunny would be a sure thing, especially after his EVTs lately. Like he's beaten Innovation, he's beaten Gumiho, he's beaten Beyond in series recently in big tournaments. But I think that he's definitely been rattled by TY. TY shook his ZVT cage a little bit there. Yeah. And Bunny's series was quite close as well. So this rematch, it's really hard to call, I have to say.
Yeah, and I think that Wax Angel's going to have his work cut out for him, thinking of a pun with Bunny and Dark in it, but we'll see. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break, guys. When we come back, Dark versus Bunny, the decider match.